Oh my god, I hate streaming. I actually hate streaming. How are we doing today, chat? I've been having a pain with this PC. I've got a power line adapter, right? The whole shtick of this is I plug it into the wall, I plug one end into the router, I plug another end into a socket here, and I can plug it from the socket into my PC. That's how it works. It is slow as hell. I'll be downloading a game off of Steam, and the fastest it'll be is like 5 megabytes a second. I have gigabit internet. So I think I need to get a new power line adapter, because this one is really trying my patience. I was trying to play some music on like an incognito tab on Google Chrome. Like, the previous attempt to do this stream, I was playing, like, Mario Galaxy music. And I was using an incognito tab to play it. And for some reason, that was lagging my stream so badly. Ugh. So man. D-Man with the nonsense donation again, thank you. And it doesn't help, by the way. I would be playing a game today. If it wasn't for the fact that my PC just flat out seems to be hating games at the moment. I had this, I think I mentioned on a previous stream, I had this problem where I'd play something like Marvel Rivals. I'd boot up the game, and I'd be playing it for like 10 minutes. Then all of a sudden, both my monitors would go black, the audio would go brrrr, and I'd have to turn my PC off. I thought I'd fix that problem. I just tweaked some settings in Rivals, and I was fine. Then I was playing Peak yesterday, which I've played Peak a dozen times, like half a dozen times, and it's fine. Like, genuinely, it's an indie game, it's Peak, it's not that difficult to run. My PC does the exact same thing again. Black screens, so I don't know what it is. I updated Windows, I think, a day or two before. And whenever I've looked online, people have said it's an issue with drivers. But my drivers are up to date, so the issue might be that I've looked online, apparently I might have to like roll back my graphics drivers to like a previous version. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my computer, but it's genuinely like irritating. But it can handle intensive processes no problem, because I managed to render this week's video and a compilation. I've got a NVIDIA GTX 3060. It's a 3060. So I think it might be a driver issue. Because, again, like I said, I've been able to play Marvel Rivals at like max settings fine. I've been able to play Peak freshly installed fine. Just for whatever reason, one day they decided not to work. So I think I might need I might need to roll back some drivers, because the hardware's not an issue. The hardware's fine. Something's going on in my computer, and if anyone, please, anyone who is tech literate can share this around, ask your like nerdy PC friends what the issue is. It's not loose RAM. I know the RAM is not loose. Like, if it was loose RAM, then it wouldn't register as 32 gigs. I had a problem with the RAM when I cleaned it, but, you know, everyone does. You just take the RAM out. You just take it out, blow in the hole, and put it back in. It's like an old game cartridge. Sounds like a broken GPU. Well, the GPU is working fine. Like, I've got Task Manager open, and like OBS is using like a good it jumps between like 6 to 20 odd % using the GPU, but otherwise it's working fine. Like, again, Marvel Rivals, I was playing that the other day, and I tweaked a whole bunch of settings, and it worked fine. I think the temp of the GPU, right now I think it's probably idling. It's idling at about 57 degrees. My CPU is idling at about 50. It has been hot outside, and I don't know if that's contributing to it, but again, I was keeping an eye on the temperature when I was playing these games, and it wasn't like any higher than 70, you know, which for a hot day in an air-cooled PC isn't bad. I am going to check my CPU block and just make sure I've got enough thermal compound on it to, you know, make sure it is doing its job. But like, it should be fine. It might just need a good cleaning out. I don't know, but like I said, it's been running games completely fine. It's just recently, I don't know what's up with it. I do think it's a software issue. .57 is quite hot. I mean, it probably is, but when you consider it's about like high 20s, nearly 30 degrees outside. Someone's saying faulty VRAM. Is that something I can fix? Because I think one of the suggestions for fixing this, I said earlier, was roll back to a previous driver. Because I know other people... What's crazy is other people seem to be having this issue as well. Well, I've looked it up on like Reddit and I've asked a couple of Discord servers. Other people are having this issue as well. So I don't know what is going on. Someone's saying, had the error faulty VRAM, GPU run fine on desktop tabs, but as soon as it started the game, shoots up GPU temps, faulty VRAM kicked in, and at around 70 degrees C, the card just shuts down and the whole card was running on high fan FPS. No picture, no reaction, black screen. Don't tell me my graphics card needs replacing. Please don't tell me that. Don't tell me I need to get a new graphics card. Oh, great. This is not the news I needed today. Again, though, people have had this problem online and have said that rolling back the graphics drivers works. Like, I had the problem with Marvel Rivals, I tweaked some settings, and then it worked fine. I played Peak a whole bunch, and then it worked completely fine. And then just yesterday, after updating my desktop, like updating Windows 10, then it crashed while playing Peak. And Peak isn't really an intensive game. It's a little indie game about climbing mountains. It's not that intense, so I don't know what's going on. I had the same issue with my old laptop and fiddling with drivers fixed it. I'll see if I can roll back to an older driver. Because it seems that online that's fixed it for a lot of people. But yeah, no, if anyone's watching this has a bunch of techie friends, please reach out and just see if they know what to do. Damn, it's 28 degrees outside. I don't know if you can hear it. I've got a fan pointed directly at me. Let me just... That's it off. And that's it on. So the background noise in this... I hope you can tolerate the background noise. Try first clean deinstallation with the GPU driver. Use display driver and installer, and installing the newest driver again. I'll install an older version of the driver because it's with the new driver it's crashing. That's got to be a project tomorrow. I just uninstall my graphics driver and install a different version. It's... yeesh. Then test the card again. When the issue's there, it's a hardware problem. Oh boy, I sure do love PC problems. Righto then. We're not here to hear me grumble about my PC. We're here for me. To answer some of your burning questions. And D-Man, immediately, since this is a Q&A stream, let's advance the field of mathematics. Can you prove or disprove Goldbach's conjecture? What? I'm not a mathematician. I don't know what that is. And I'm not going to Google it because that's probably going to lag my stream to hell and we're going to be right back at square one. Dima from the Wikipedia article. Can every even integer greater than 2 be written as the sum of two primes? That's a good question. When you say every even integer, is that like, does 2 count? Not 2. Does 30 count? I have no idea what any of that means. Because if 30 counts, then 30 cannot be derived... Oh, it's the sum of two prime numbers. No, I was about to say something really dumb, but then... I mean, 6 and 5, that's 30, and only one of those is a prime number. I'm not a mathematician. Any mathematicians watching are probably pulling their hair out, seeing me try and figure this out. So maybe it's best that I don't try. Oh boy, hold on, let me start a Q&A. Just so I have a list of questions and I can jump between the questions and chat, just to keep the two of them separate. Will you be attending or at least watching the Great Gathering for the 200th anniversary of rail travel in Britain? There is a plane flying overhead. I might. I'll see how much tickets cost and when it is. It might be worth going. Can't say, can't promise I'll go. I might give it a watch, though. Who'd be better at each other's jobs? Daniel Ricciardo as a train YouTuber, or you as an F1 driver? I mean, being an F1 driver is actually apparently really hard. I don't think I've got the physical capability of doing that, so I think he'll be a good train YouTuber. What's your ideal temperature? Outside, 15 degrees Celsius. Around there. That's a good temperature. I like that. Have you ever heard of a band called The Grateful Dead before? I only know about The Grateful Dead because of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I can't say I've listened to much of their music. How do you feel about fan art? Of me or just in general? I love fan art. Like, I love fan art asterisk. I know R34 exists. You know, like... But in general speaking, if someone said, hey, ToT, I drew fan art of you, and they handed me a picture, I'd be like, oh, that's real nice. Thank you. But yeah, no, I like fan art. I like seeing other people's interpretation of things. I love seeing those, like, little animatics where people take, like, snippets of other people's videos and animate them. Like, I love seeing the little snippets of Game Changer that get animated. I love seeing, like, Deep Bluing and, like, little moments from podcasts that get animated. I love those. Least liked BR Loco in your opinion? I mean, all BR Locos had some charm to them. Pass. Thoughts on the RMS Olympic? Don't know enough about ships to give a viable opinion. Which disused rail branch would you bring back first, and why? I've got family in the West Midlands. And there used to be a train line from Stafford to Telford. And by the time that line got ripped up, they developed Telford into like this great big shopping place. And so a line from there to there would be pretty good. Don't know about a branch line, but it'd be pretty good to have a line going from the two. What's your favourite narrow gauge railway? Narrow gauge. Oh, there's so many good narrow gauge railways. It's one of those things where it depends on the day. Pass. TF2 stream when? You'll be lucky. What day were you born? You want to dox me? Get out of here. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. I could be better, given you've heard my grumblings about my PC problems earlier, but otherwise I'm all right. What's an unusual but surprisingly good food combo? Curry, like with rice mixed in, so like rice covered in curry sauce with, you know, a bit of the meat as well. That put in a Yorkshire pudding. It sounds crazy, but it's genuinely really good. I'm not kidding. Have you ever tried to make your own locomotive class? I can't say I have. Would 180s be better than 195s on York to Blackpool branch to help with capacity? Probably. Preferred Pringle flavour. Ooh, I like cheese and onion. Cheese and onion or sour cream and onion. Those are two really good flavours. How much money would I have to pay you in order to do a video on any topic of my choosing in US dollars? We've been over this when I originally started streaming. I'm not accepting donation. I'm not accepting people paying me money to do videos on their choosing anymore. Because otherwise it just starts a bidding war, and I like having the choice of just doing a video on what I want when I want. If you've got an idea for a video, put it in the video suggestions. I can't promise I'll find it. I can't promise I will do a video on it. The best thing you can do is suggest it and I'll consider it. Oh boy, that's a lot of questions. Let me... do you think if given the chance you would take the chance to drive any type of locomotive, whether it was up to you or not? I'd love to drive an engine, like a full-sized engine. Give it a go. What's your opinion on FNAF Secret of the Mimic? From what I've seen, it's alright. But it's just... I don't know. I think I spoke about this on stream a different day. I've not played it. I'm not interested in playing it. It looks okay. People seem to enjoy it, so I can't be upset. But, like... it doesn't feel like a Five Nights at Freddy's game. And they're doing something different, so I can't knock it. Like, I can't complain that it doesn't feel like a Five Nights at Freddy's game when they're intentionally making something that doesn't feel like a Five Nights at Freddy's game. That feels very unfair of me to say. I didn't even know it came out until people started posting about it. That's how under the radar it was for me. And I just feel like the whole kids entertainment thing come to life, but it's evil and it wants to kill you. It's been done to death. Every now and then someone puts like a new or interesting twist on it, but it's just been done to death, and I want to see something new come up in like the horror, like the indie horror space. Like, mascot horror has stuck around for so long, and it doesn't seem to have any... it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, but I just, for once... I just want to see something different, something interesting. Like, Secrets of the Mimic had this good idea where you can access the entire map once you unlock, like, get the key to unlock it. Like, you have to go to different areas to get different keys, but then you can go back to different areas to explore more. That was a really sort of cool idea. But I think you need the right kind of story to do that as well. Like, don't have, here's this cutesy animatronic that's chasing you around and whatever. Like, why are so many animatronics? Why are there so many animatronics in that game that are programmed to kill you? Because I know in the original Five Nights at Freddy's it was, you know, kids got murdered, bodies stuffed in the animatronics, and the other one, and that's why they're, you know, possessed and moving around. There's like so many more animatronics, and it's like, okay, how many goddamn kids have been murdered to create this? Or are you just building hostile robots, in which case, why are you doing that? So, I don't know, Secrets of the Mimic, I think it's okay, but it's just... I'm so tired. I'm so tired of mascot horror, and I want something new and interesting. I think I spoke a couple streams ago about Thunderhead and like the twist in that, which I thought was really good. And I don't mind Five Nights at Freddy's and Mascot Horrors existing. I think like the FNAF movie especially sort of cemented Five Nights at Freddy's as like my first horror, because horror tends to be very hardcore and it tends to be, you know, for like older teens and adults. Like, we've all been to school, we've all been in like 11 years old, and there's one kid in your class who talks about how incredible all the blood and guts in Saw was, because they're, you know, unsupervised like that. You know, younger generations are capable of processing horror, and I think it's good to have something like Five Nights at Freddy's be like a stepping stone. Like, you don't just start out watching Friday the 13th, we give you like something a little more toned down but with the horror vibes, just so you can transition into horror as opposed to just like ripping the bandage straight off. I just want to see something new with Five Nights at Freddy's. I want another pizzeria simulator. I want something that's straightforwards. That's my bit of a tangent, but that's my sort of thoughts on that. Since you liked Thomas as a kid, what was your favourite Thomas toy that you owned? A little take-and-play magnetic toy. I had loads of those take-and-play magnetic toys, but one of them, it was a mountain set, and I used to play with like all the narrow gauge engines on that little mountain set. Banging time. What is the J? Meme question. Something you smoke after a hard day. Off stream, could you take a listen to a mashup of Layla by Eric Clapton and Wheel in the Sky by Journey? It's so good. Sure, I'll give it a listen. Thoughts on the bullied class Pacifics? Very striking engines, good idea on paper, but like with a lot of bullied things, it was a bit too complex too soon. I do love the casings though. I love the casings on bullied Pacifics. They're just so nice. Hey ToT, who would win in a race with you? No, hold on. Hey ToT, who would win in a race? You with a T1 class or youth roommate we? Oh, you've corrected it. Who would win in a race? You with a Climax locomotive or your roommate with a Shay locomotive? I think the Shays were a bit... No, it would be the Climax. The Climaxes were faster than the Shays. I'd pick the Shay. Did you know that Undertale is turning 10 in a few months? That is crazy. That is crazy to think Undertale is turning 10. Such a good game, though. It's such a good game. Have you watched Shed 17, Project G1, or Sodor Land? No, because from what I've heard, they're all like edgy reimaginings of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's just... It's not my vibe. I don't watch Thomas fan stories. That's just not my scene. Hello, Train of Thought. I hope you're having somewhat of a good day. Here's the question of the day. What kind of games do you enjoy to play? Train games, puzzle games, action games, racing games? I don't know if there's going to be an etc. or if that's just where it ends, if I have to choose between the four. I like a shooter. I like joining some friends and playing a shooter. That's always fun. It's been a while since I've properly sat down and like sunk my teeth into a game. Apart from Deltarune, I've played Deltarune recently, both chapters 3 and 4. Oh, so good. Train games is very kind of broad if you're on about like the sort of driving simulators. I don't really play those. I like more sandboxy games. Like, you know, your Railroads Online and Minecraft and that sort of thing. I like a shooter. I don't really have that many racing games. I don't play them, but I do enjoy them when I do. It can vary from day to day. I like a nice puzzle from time to time. I like a platformer. A good platformer. 1. Do you ever plan to go to Ireland? 2. What's your favourite Irish locomotive? I can't say I've got a particular favourite Irish locomotive because I don't know too much about Irish railways to make a strong opinion. I would like to go to Ireland though. I'd love to visit Ireland. It seems like such a lovely country. What is the weirdest incident that involved a train? The weirdest? It depends how you define weird, really. I think just trains being stolen, that's kind of weird. Trains specifically. I think some of the ghost stories I've covered on Train of Thought, they're kind of weird. I like those. I'm not sure. If you had to change a preserved steam locomotive with an extinct class of one, which would you choose? Ooh. Now, is this like... I'm going on the assumption that I can't just say, oh, we'll get rid of a Great Western Hall so we can bring back something else. I'm assuming that it's like the entire class. So if I were to say get rid of bullied Pacifics, we'd lose all the bullied Pacifics, but in turn we'd regain certain ones. Oh, I don't know. There are far too many options in just the UK alone. I don't know. Ooh. I'm gonna have to pass on that one. I'm gonna need like a lot of time to think about that one. Sorry if I'm skipping a bunch of these questions, but they're like head scratches, and there are a lot of questions people have got to ask me. Train of thought: do you think there's a way to make a movie about a killer fire truck or someone driving one more thoughtful than a cheesy horror flick? I want to try and write a screenplay of that. I mean, fire trucks specifically, you might have a hard time, but I know it's what's that Stephen King book about like the killer car that they made the movie out of? You know the one I'm on about. Like Carrie, is it? I don't think it's Carrie. But you know the one about the killer car. Like I mean, it being a fire truck specifically might make it a bit cheesy. Because a car is vague enough that it's like, okay, it's like an old Cadillac someone was murdered in and that's why it's going around. But like when it's a fire truck, that's like, And you gotta have a good reason for it to be like possessed and killing people. I don't know if you can make it not cheesy. But sometimes leaning into the cheese really helps. You know, that's how you end up with the Evil Dead movies. Brain Dead by Peter Jackson. Hope this ends. Has a train ever sunk a warship? Not the train specifically. There's probably a story about like a railway gun that has sunk a warship sometime. Probably. I know there's that story about the American sub crew that managed to derail a train. And I always find stories like that a bit iffy, because a lot of people phrase it as, oh, did you know that a submarine once destroyed a railway? Like, a train and a submarine had a fight and the submarine won? And it's like, when you read the story, it's just a bunch of guys got out of the submarine, went to the bridge, blew up the bridge, went back in the submarine. It's not a fight between a train and a submarine. You get what I mean? Have to split this into two parts. First person or first person shooter games. Oh, that's the previous question. Well, I answered that. If you had to stream a new game to play with the gang, which one would you choose? A new game to stream with the gang. I don't know. Like, we still need to finish Void Train. I know a lot of people are begging for Left 4 Dead. That would be fun. I'd love to play Peak. I've already got Peak, I've been saying earlier, but I'd love to play Peak with the boys. But obviously, whenever I stream a game that isn't train related, no one ever seems to watch that. So, comme ci, comme ça. Hey ToT, would you ever play Red Dead Redemption 2 on a live stream one day, or did you do one before that I'm not aware of? I don't know if, again, I don't think I would play Red Dead Redemption on a live stream, because my channel, no one ever views those streams, unfortunately. I mean, it'd be cool to play it. Like, if I streamed more on Twitch, I definitely think I would enjoy playing it. But I'm not a Twitch streamer. Like, God knows there's, like, already enough people on Twitch streaming games. I guess I could play it. I don't know. It's one of those things. I'd love to, like, do games. I'd love to be a, like, I'd love to stream games. That would be phenomenal. But also, it's a very saturated market. I'd need, like, my own draw. Irish Railways video when? Irish narrow gauge 3 foot and broad gauge. Sorry, I scrolled and then there are so many questions. I scroll to the bottom and then I immediately get bombarded with like 80 more. Yeah, the 3 foot gauge and 5 foot 8 inch broad gauge don't get enough appreciation. They really don't. I will do a video on some Irish locomotives at some point. I can't promise it'll be soon, but, you know, I'll try. What's your favourite weird/uncanny railway tale you've researched so far? Uncanny. I don't know what I think would be uncanny, because it's like, there's a whole bunch of, like, it'd definitely be one of the Ghost Train of Thought stories. I definitely think the Husik Tunnel, probably one of my favourite stories I've looked up, because it's so mysterious. There's so much like the ghost stories around that tunnel. and like no one knows what the hell's going on with it. It was just a horrible thing. I think that's one of my favourite sort of like uncanny stories. Who do you think has donated more in total? You or D-Man or T-Ason? I can't say I'd know how much you'd lead by, but it's definitely D-Man. It's been a while since T-Ason's donated. I mean, they're busy with their own thing, so I can't, like, demand money, you know? What brand is your washing machine? I'm trying to remember now. It's not Hitachi, it's... Have I taken a picture of my washing machine? I'm generally struggling to remember what brand my washing machine is. I look at it every day, and I can't remember the bloody brand of it. What country would you want to travel for its rail history? Ooh. I think the US has quite a big rail history, you know, what with the Transcontinental Railroad and whatnot. But I wouldn't mind visiting a country like Indonesia, India, because like railways do play a big part in those countries. Like India still has like overnight sleeper trains, and those trains get so busy, so busy. You know, I would love to go see the railways in those countries. Would you rather be wealthy and have lots of railways, or be born into a railway family and run a heritage railway? It's a weirdly worded question. I'd be wealthy and have lots of railways because my family could share the railway. Because like being born into a railway family and running a heritage railway doesn't mean the railway will stay open. If I'm wealthy, I can keep the railway open, guaranteed. Did you know that the moon railway... Not the moon. Did you know that the Monon Railway in the US was thinking of making a 410-4, but they didn't make it because it was during dieselization? That would have been a big engine. That would have been a nice-sized engine. Do you think people would react well or badly if a steam engine suddenly gained a face and sentience? In my opinion, I think it would be... I think I would be obsessed with it and would try to understand it. I think it would be quarantined and studied by scientists. That sounds dire. Please get a video on Irish narrow gauge. Again, no promises. If I find it interesting, I'll do a video on it. What's one locomotive that made it into preservation that you think don't deserve it? Not counting Flying Scotsman, since your hatred of it is known. An engine that didn't deserve to be preserved. Ooh. That's a very good question. I don't know, because there's quite a few engines. I think every engine is worthy of preservation. Like, even though I hate Flying Scotsman, I'm glad it's preserved. An engine that does not deserve to be preserved? That's a very bold statement. I might have to pass on that one, because I don't think there are any engines that do not deserve preservation. What method of modelling do you prefer? What method of modelling do you prefer doing if you do crafts, whether it's transportation, landscape, or objects? What? I don't really do modelling. I build Lego sets sometimes, but that's about as close to modeling as I get. What steam train was a would you add to your car if you had one? Yes. Thoughts on Thomas 1, Edward 2, Henry 3, and Victor Tanzig? They make Thomas themed fan content. I have no strong opinions on them. I don't watch their stuff. Not particularly interested in their stuff. That's not me being dismissive of them. That's just me saying it's not the kind of content I consume. Some people have beef with them, some people don't. I'm just being Switzerland when it comes to it and being like, they're off over there doing their own thing, I'm over here doing my thing. Seen the Shed 17 trilogy? Again, no. Do you want more video games like Choo Choo Charles? Choo Choo Charles was a fun game. I think it kind of leans into the mascot horror thing, but otherwise the core gameplay was quite fun. I wouldn't mind seeing more games like Choo Choo Charles, maybe lean off the mascot horror thing a bit. Because the whole gimmick of that game was, ooh, killer spider, Thomas the Tank is trying to kill you, ooh. But like, I think it's called Zompiercer, it's on Steam. That looks like a very interesting game I might play around Halloween, presuming I get my PC fixed. And like, that genuinely looks like an interesting game, because the whole bit is that you have a train and that's your mobile base and you go from place to place, like, to gather supplies and stuff. And that's kind of Choo Choo Charles-esque. It looks like some people have made donations, so I'm going to have to quickly switch over to the live chat just to see what those donations were. So I have not been able to look at the live chat. D-Man with $20. No, I don't. At Impeccable. Thanks for the $20, man. Let me switch back over to the Q&A. Because of how YouTube Studio shows the questions, I can either have the Q&A up, or I can have the live stream chat. Tell you what, actually. Let me just open the stream on my phone. Let me just open it on my phone and I'll just watch the chat there. Oh, that is an advert. Don't care about that. Don't care about that advert either. Skip. Oh. Oh, I'm live. I'm live. I'm live on my own phone. Look at that.
Oh, I'm live.
Oh god, there's two of me now. There's two of me. Isn't that incredible? How can we drive this bit into the ground? How long till we drive this bit to the ground?
Isn't that incredible? How can we drive this bit into the ground?
It's still going. Oh god, the layers of hell, they come upwards. Points of view, you're in a room with several train of thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. No. Chat's telling me to keep going, I'm gonna keep going. I love that the audio quality is getting progressively worse. This is what it sounds like inside my head. Okay, I'm turning this down now. I'm turning that off. Oh, Jesus, that was bad. That was really bad. Let's never do that again. Okay, So it looks like a bunch of the questions have stopped coming through in the Q&A. Will you ever do a stream of you playing Derail Valley? I've done a stream of me playing it in VR, and I do want to do another VR stream of it again. That'll be fun. Question about that. What tanks do you know? Not that many. Cereal first, then milk, or milk first, then cereal? Cereal first, then milk. It's very rare that you ever put the milk first. What is your opinion on the big boy and the hype surrounding it? It's alright. It's a big engine. Biggest currently operational engine. I'd love to see it in motion. I'd love to see that thing doing 60 miles an hour, wouldn't you? What are your thoughts on the Australian rail gauge situation in history? I find it very interesting that it was a mix of standard and broad, and then they slowly switched over to standard. I do find that very interesting. Led to some very interesting gauntlet track. I don't know what it is, but I just love gauntlet track. Maybe I'm just a masochist. How many tons of coal does it take to make a train of thought video? About a ton. I need to ask my local power plant. If you could own any locomotive to exist, but you had to take one that was considered a failure, which one would you take? Ooh. That's good. That's a good question. Like a failed locomotive. I do think I'd take one of like the little C14s I did a video on like a couple of weeks ago, because they're just so tiny. They're little tonky engines, and like they were a failure because they were like doing the wrong line of work. I'd love one. I think on like a heritage railway they would be adorable. Do you have an opinion on the Iowa Interstate QJ6988? I do not. Are you on the autistic spectrum?
It is my job to talk about trains on the internet. What do you think?
What's your opinion on Somewhere Wales if you've played Roblox? Again, I don't have Roblox. I probably will not play Roblox for a long time. I might consider it one day. Might. Have you ridden a train in Belgium? I've never been to Belgium. What about the DR191001? Would you ever make a video about this locomotive? I'll look into it. Again, put it in video suggestions and I will make a video on it. Pineapple on pizza. Pineapple on pizza's fine. People who are like, they're completely overreacting. Because, like, if you have, like a gammon steak or, like, fried ham, it usually comes with, like, a ring of grilled pineapple as well. Like, it's not a cardinal sin to put it on pizza. Like, those are two flavors that complement each other. They're not a sin to put them on pizza. There are worse toppings to put on pizza. Why are we complaining about pineapple when people are putting sweet corn on pizza? That's the real fight. You're all just sleeping on it. Are you a shift to run or shift to walk kind of guy? Shift to run. You gotta hit shift to run. Have you watched Tobias and the Arcane Merchants? I've not watched any of the Tobias things. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of like Thomas fan videos and things. That's just not the kind of thing I watch. It could be pretty good. To me, it's just playing with children's toys but making an edgy story. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just not my vibe. Do you know the nickname of the Challenger? Did you know the nickname of the Challenger is Big Boy's little brother? I did not. That's cute. Opinion on the Tyne and Weir Metro? Nah. But I don't really have one. So, will you ever considered making gaming channel? Also, here's a fish with brain damage and ADHD. Thanks for the fish, I guess. I might make a gaming channel. I just need like an editor. I've got a friend who's an editor. I don't know. I'd need an editor and I'd need to play like the right thing. Have you heard of the Rio Grande Southern 41 at Knott's Berry Farm? I know there's a couple of Rio Grande engines there, but I didn't know 41 was there. I know you won't care, but I got a double O gauge 9F today. Oh, nice. Is it a good model? Because, like... No, I'm thinking of O gauge. Double O gauge, that's a good size. I hope it's a good model. What foods or flavours go best with chocolate? Proper bitter chocolate, you need cream with that. It's why cookies and cream is like such a good flavour combo. Because chocolate's got this bitter tang to it and cream just adds this light sweetness to it. That's what goes well with chocolate. Strawberries, a lot of fruity flavours seem to go well with chocolate, but like dried fruits like raisins and like sultanas. Would you do a video on the 1976 American Freedom Train for the next 4th of July, since the event is turning 50 next year? Good shout. I'll do that. Who's winning rap beef? Djus or Johnny Razor? I'm team Djus, but Johnny Low-key cooked him with faceless. You're talking to someone who listens to like the Phantom of the Opera overture and classic rock and roll. You're asking the wrong guy here. I know nothing about anything that you just said, D-Man. Have you seen the Australian knockoff of the HST, the XPT? I have not. I will look into that. What locomotive would you love to see a running example of? A single driver. Like a Stirling single. I'd love to see some more like single drivers in action. I understand why they aren't in service, because, you know, they've only got one driving axle. They're not exactly the fastest or the most efficient. But I'd love to see one of those in action. I genuinely would. How's your day been? Too hot. What's the favourite locomotive you've ever ridden behind IRL? Ooh. I think I've ridden behind Lady of Legend, Sir Hayden. I'm trying to remember all the engines I've ever ridden behind. I've ridden behind a lot. I love the Garretts. The Garretts on the Welsh Highland Railway, those are fantastic. Ooh, I really don't know. What's your favourite train? I think that's with the previous question. It can vary on the day. Like, it's whatever mood I'm in. That's my favourite train. I love a pannier, but then I might find like the Sterling singles really nice. I love the American 440s, like the Wild West 440s. I love them. I don't know, there's so many. There's so many I love. I can't just pick one. If you were able to fund the making of a replica locomotive, which would you choose? Must be well known and scrapped. Replica. I mean, I'd say a Gresley P2, but like, they're already building one of those. Flying Scotsman is currently in A3 form and probably will be in A3 for the rest of its life. So I'd love to see like a Gresley A1. I think that'd be really nice to see one of those. Definitely like a Gresley A1. I'd love to see some of those. Your thoughts on redoing all of the Thomas the Tank Engine episodes before it was CG with famous rock stars voicing different trains? That's a very bold idea. Like, different rock stars voicing the different characters. Who would be who? But obviously Ringo would be the narrator because he just is. But like, and specifically rock stars as well. It's a very bold idea, but I don't know if it's a necessary idea. I make something new. Stop remaking stuff, make something new. Do something different. Take old stories from the past and make something new and better out of them. You don't need to keep remaking things. Will you ever make a video on the Valley Railroad 3025, the Chinese replica of New Haven Railroad J1 class? That's an interesting thing to do. Yeah, I'll look into that. I know there's at the National Railway Museum, there's a Chinese locomotive that was built in Britain, sent to China, and then sent back. I'd also love to do a video on like the C2 project, or you know, the Chinese C2s. Because like the idea that these are steam locomotives built for industrial work as late as like 1984. Like, China was still building steam locomotives in the 80s. Isn't that, like, an incredible thought? A video I did want to do. At one point, I wanted to do a video on every single British steam locomotive that was still in America, that had like visited America and remained there for a substantial period of time, and either has come home or is, maybe not everyone that's visited, but at least every engine that's still there. I wanted to do a video on that, and I opened YouTube a couple of days ago, and what's Max put out? Terrier 55 Stepney. A video on a 37 long minute video of every single steam locomotive that's been in the US and still is there. He's beat me to the punch. So, you know, we all can't win. There's not winning, that you can't win. Not everyone can win. But in fairness, though, like, I've got my everything wrong with the trains in series. I am working on it. I promise. You know, I've got that series going on, so I will do that eventually. I'm thinking this week, hear me out on this. I might do a smaller sort of train scene. Like, rather than doing a whole movie that's centered around trains, I do everything wrong with just a specific scene. Because I've got like suggestions to do things like Back to the Future and various scenes out of that. And like various scenes out of films like that where it's, you know, it's the train only appears for a brief moment, so I can't do a full video, but like a mini episode, I guess. I'd do that. If you were a locomotive, which one would you be? Pannier tank. They can shunt trucks. They can pull carriages. Good range thanks to the pannier tanks. Just a pannier tank. You can't go wrong. What's your favourite tea? I do not drink tea. D-Man, do the train scene from Garfield, please, I beg. Oh no. Do I have to watch the whole movie so I understand the context for that scene, or can I just watch the scene on its own? Oh dear. What are your thoughts on trams? I love trams. I don't know what it is, but something about road and rail intersecting, I really like that. I think I said on like a previous Cursed Train stream, like something about like rails being flooded just so you can't see the tracks and watching a train like roll over the water. There's something about that vibe I really dig, that like Spirited Away vibe. I love it. And there's something about like, especially like those older pictures of like New York and LA, where there'd be like, you know, a railway line going down like the middle of a high street, and you just see a massive steam locomotive, like a streamlined steam locomotive, slowly rolling down the street. I don't know what it is. I love that. So I love trams. I do love trams. Trams are great. Boo. Boy, that's a lot of questions and it keeps jumping about. Can you call your gaming channel Thoughts of Trains? I mean, you're clearly missing out Game of Thought. GOT. It's so simple. What's your favourite railway? Example, Great Western, BR, LNER. Yours is LMS. I like Southern Railways. I think Southern Railways is very unique among the Big Four in BR. Because the Big Four, the Great Western, they were very keen to keep their engines up to date. The LMS, like, you know, even though they had some old bangers on their railway, they still, like, you know, produced the Coronation Scots and whatnot. They were keeping up to date. You know, the LNER, Gresley was always experimenting, and they had their own designs. I think the LNER's engines only got interesting during the 1940s, when Gresley was really experimenting and Thompson came out with his like austerity designs. But I think Southern Railways holds a very special charm for the fact that they were so focused on electrification that they just had so many outdated steam machines. Like, any functioning locomotive in this country, or any preserved steam locomotive that existed, like, prior to the grouping of the Big Four, likely came from the Southern Railway. So I need to blow my nose. Because they were so focused on like electrification that they were just working their steam engines into the ground. Because like, what's the point in building new steam engines if we're just going to like replace them with electrification anyway? And so that's why we still have like so many Terriers preserved, so many like pre-grouping engines are preserved because of Southern Railways. And I think that kind of gives them, or gave them, like a certain charm. That you'd see like these old retro locomotives working alongside things as up to date as, you know, electric. I do love those. I think if I were to pick one, I'd definitely go Great Western, because you just can't go wrong with the Great Western Railway. But for pure charm alone, like, efficiency Great Western, vibes Southern. There's your answers to that. Already had that question. Do you think the British diesel era would have been a different story if they'd made some joint efforts with the American companies like GM/EMD or Alco? I don't think the failing of the British Rail dieselisation stuff, I don't think that failing came from like failure to collaborate with American railroads. I think the failure just came from BR being just too enthusiastic about getting diesel in place. I think there's a lot of examples of BR basically seeing, oh, is that a diesel engine? That's a cool design, we'll buy it. And then the design being utter horseshit. It's a C in point, the Class 17s. Like, BR just saw the design and went, that'll be pretty good, we'll buy a load of them. And then it failed. I think BR... I think the modernization plan should have been slowed down a lot. Like, really focus on finding... Like, experiment with a few little diesel designs. Really, like, learn... Like, get the practice down. Then you build steam engines. Well, diesel engines. Then you, like, work your way forwards. Because it's all well and good saying, oh, Americans, like, they got diesels down. But America has a very... Not only does America have a very big loading gauge, but their rails can tolerate much greater weights than British railways can. It's why the 9F... Like, Americans joke, oh, the pinnacle of British railway freight power was a 210-0. We had 210-0s in 1912, and those are, like, way bigger. But the real, like, restrictive size of Britain's railways meant that we couldn't build that. And I think that's why we didn't really look to America for diesels, because just the engine block alone in a like an American diesel would have been enough to like restrict it from going on certain branch lines. So, you know, I think ideally we should have looked to more Europe, see what they were doing. I don't think it's a fault. I don't think the fault is not collaborating with America. I think the fault is not looking at the rest of Europe, because that's the benchmark for Britain. Which engine could beat Godzilla? LMS crab. I will not elaborate why. For the 10th anniversary of Undertale, I'm commissioning an artist to make a tribute to that, but I can't share it in the server. That's fine. I want to see the art when it's done, though. It'll be great. Have you watched Tugs, and do you plan to make a video on it? I've watched Tugs. I like Tugs. Don't know if I'll make a video on it. Not on Train of Thought. Hey, ToT, would you like a Philly cheesesteak? It's a sub, and don't ask me why it's called that. Don't ask me. I'll take a Philly cheesesteak. I like cheese and beef. Just an underrated combo. Just cheese and beef. Have you heard of the time the crew of one of the castle trains in Southern Ireland apprehended a German submarine crew member and turned him in? I've not. Put that in video suggestions. I'll look into that. Who would win in a rap battle? A train or a van? Train. Did you know that Charles Dickens made a horror story called The Signalman? I am very aware. Rate putting, quote, fruit, quote, in the bowl. Please elaborate. Please elaborate. Will Ghost Train of Thought return this year? It's my favourite thing to listen to around Halloween. I need horror train suggestions. I need ghost stories. I need railway ghost stories and spooky things that happened on trains. I need those, and I need them now. Because I genuinely think I have depleted so many Ghost Train stories when I did the original Ghost Train of Thought. Because that was one video a day for October, so that was 31 ghost stories. Then I did some spooky stories the year after, and then I did last year. Not only did I do some kind of Halloween-y videos, but I also did Ghost Train of Thought again with 3 sort of ghost stories. I need as many ghost stories as people can give me. So if you have train ghost stories, come and give them. Thoughts of chocolate-covered bacon? Ew. No. Ugh. Brother, Favorite Tugs character? 1-star Tugs and one of the Z stacks. Big Mac from the Star Tugs, and from the Z stacks, Zug. What fact involving trains that you discovered while researching for a video was one that left you most that disturbed me? I think it was definitely around the time, I think it was last year, I did that video on was it Duffy's Cut? The name of it escapes me, but the that section of railroad that was built by a bunch of Irish immigrants, and then when the plague broke out in the camp, the railroad just sent a couple guys and just had them all shot and just buried them in a mass grave. That was... I think that really sort of opened my eyes to... Oh! This was a horrible thing that happened. And thinking about it, it probably happened elsewhere. It's very much not an isolated incident. Like, there is a very good chance, like, other sections of the railroads in the US were built by immigrants, and then when, you know, they were injured or killed or disease broke out, they were just murdered and replaced with fresh immigrants. Like, that's a kind of revelation I had, and I was like, oh shit, that's wild. That's genuinely wild. Will you ever make a video on a Romanian train? If I find it interesting, I will. It's worthwhile mentioning the song Dumb Ways to Die is actually an Australian rail safety ad. Yeah, I know. Because it was always so crazy that they made the song Dumb Ways to Die, and I distinctly remember the end of the song. A message from Metro. Because, like, the last few verses of the song about how it's dumb to die on a railway track. Will you ever do a video on Southern Railways, brackets, the American one? It's rare I do videos on, like, railway companies. Because, generally speaking, like, a lot of them fall under the same sort of story, which was, it's either railway company is founded in this year, in like the 1800s, they build track between here and here, run operations for a while, at some point they had to cut back operations, then they came back a bit, built this class of engine, and by the 1970s the money was running thin and the railroad was closed down, or the company was dissolved or bought out by someone else. Or the company was formed when a railroad was failing and it was bailed out by the government, and here's the story of how it works now. There's very few railroads that don't fall into like one of those two categories. I did a video on the Penn Central because it's such a cacophonous mess. Like, you look at the Penn Central and tell me that wasn't dumb in the slightest. You know what I mean? So, the Penn Central was fun because it was awful. But there's very few other railroads that are like change out that status quo. There are some, like the Great Western, that might have been a bit more forward thinking and put like their employees first. But there are very few actual railroads that don't fall under that kind of cookie cutter precedent. And so that's why I generally don't do videos on specifically the railroad companies unless there's like a certain event that happened that's worth going over. Again, the catastrophe that was Penn Central. Any favourite World War II German steam trains? I don't know that much about German steam locomotives. I will... Come November, I might do a couple videos on German steam engines. Just because of like how many locomotives Germany built is insane. If you could bring back every engine of an extinct... If you could bring back every engine of an extinct class, or what class of engine would you bring back? Okay, so every engine of one specific class. There's a dog yipping. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because there's quite a few like extinct steam engines that would be really cool. Let me go through my channel and see what I've done videos on. That would be interesting to do. But like, Let me have a sip of my drink. The streamlined Algerian Garrets, those were pretty damn good. Again, dogs are yipping away. It have to be an extinct class of locomotive. I'd love to see Meg's elevated railway. I think that would be incredible to see in real life. The Dubusquet locomotives. I don't know if I can't remember if one of those. I don't think any of those are preserved. Those would be nice to see in real life. Ooh, the LMS Garretts. Ooh, those would be a sight, wouldn't they? The LMS Garretts, that would... Bring them back. Will you ever take up railway modelling? Maybe if I ever own my own house, I might have a railway in the garden. Someone just asked why. I ask myself that question every day. Hey ToT, who would win in a fight? You with the Ent, or your roommate with Azog the Defiler? I think Azog the Defiler. I'm gonna end up getting defiled. You can't have a name like Azog the Defiler and not have earned it. I'm not messing with Azog the Defiler. I don't want to be defiled. Your opinion on introduction of new dual 93 and tri-mode locomotives? Cool. Out of all your videos, which one was the hardest to do research for? I don't think there's one specifically that was hard to do. I know when I did the French streamlined Garretts, when I did those, a lot of the information in English was very limited, and so I had to look up a whole bunch of stuff. I had to try and find the French wiki articles and go from there. And I'd completed most of the script. I was just looking for the pictures to use in the video when I came across the French Wikipedia article and found a whole bunch more information. And I ended up going back, rewriting some of the script and re-recording a whole bunch of lines. And if you listen carefully to that video, you can hear where I've had to change the lines and re-record stuff. I don't think there's one specific video that was really hard to do, but it generally is the case that if it's not a British or an American engine, it's often hard to find information on it in English. Because, searching this stuff up, it takes you to all the English sources for it, when most of the information is in the French sources or the Dutch sources or the Spanish or the German, and so it's finding that information that generally tends to be tough. Since I was in Liverpool this week, will you ever consider doing a video on the Liverpool Overhead Railway at some point? Again, if I can find an interesting hook on it, I will. When will you create a game like Arms Trader Tycoon brackets tanks? You create your own steam engines by combining parts of other trains. I don't know why you're asking me. I know fuck all about making games. Well, you could do other European engines, still North America today, not specifically Britain. I guess I could. Oh boy, that's a lot of... That's a lot of questions. It's worthwhile mentioning that... Yeah, someone's mentioned that. Imagine this, you're tasked with scrapping a famous locomotive. And I mean one legit everyone loves. Which one will you choose? I'm gonna weasel my way out of this. I'm just gonna really squirm my way out of this, and I'm gonna say one of the Great Western Castles. I only have to scrap one engine. There's a couple of castles left. You can't hate me. Could you do a video on everything... Could you do an everything wrong with the episode on Under Siege 2 Dark Territory, the one with Steven Seagal? Might. I'll have a look. Favourite Amtrak engine? Don't know enough about Amtrak to make a comment. Hey, Train of Thought, I got a question. If Soda was a real place, would you move to Soda and get a job on the railway? I don't think I'd be able to get a job on the railway because there'd be so many people fighting to work on actual steam locomotives. I'd love to get a job, don't get me wrong. I'd move there. I'd do Train of Thought from Sodor. I could interview the engines and ask them what they're up to. That would be great. Do you know about the Belgian coastal tram? I do not. I will look into it. Have you heard of the LMS's diesel rail cars of 1939? Again, we'll look into that. Movie idea about the group that fought their way through all of Serbia during the Russian Civil War, but with you as the narrator. I don't like films with a narrator. I don't like a film that has to explain what's going on. You should be able to figure it out through the visuals and the storytelling alone. I swear talking to my spirit, do you have something you want to admit to us, ToT? No, I've never watched Spirited Away. I'm just using that as a reference. If you could bring back every engine of an extinct loco... I think we've already said this one. Hey, ToT, if you could have any model train and try... If you could have any model train and try to fix it, what one would you... Hey? Have any model train and try to fix it, what one would it be and what company would make it? I don't know much about model trains, so I'm passing on that. Weirdest and wackiest experimental steam engines from each country you can think of. In terms of wackiest and weirdest, the Bullied Leader for the UK, the CIE Turf Burner in Ireland, which I found out actually, the E, because it's got a little apostrophe above it, it's pronounced A, so the railway company should be pronounced CIA, but obviously doing a video on that, I referred to it as the CIE simply because I don't want people thinking Ireland works with the CIA. Fontaine locomotive. That was a weird one in the US. There's definitely been weirder, but that's the first one that springs to mind. What preserved locomotive do you hate the most, and which one you love the most? Flying Scotsman I loathe. We all know I loathe Flying Scotsman. I love the Bullied Pacifics. I love the pannier tanks. I couldn't pick a favourite one. I love narrow gauge engines. I couldn't pick. I can't pick a favourite because my favourite really varies depending on the day. What do you think of Amtrak Guy? I love his stuff. I love Amtrak Guy's videos. Like, he puts a lot of effort into the production of his videos. I don't know how he does it, but I love his stuff. He makes great content. I'll flat out admit, production-wise, he makes better videos than me. Production-wise. Like, with the visuals, the music choices, he makes better videos than me. Do I have the nicer voice? Hell yeah. I'm not gonna be like modest about it. I've got a damn nice voice. People would wish they had a voice like mine. But in terms of like raw production value, he's just better. He is just better. Largest tram system in the world today is in Melbourne, with 150 route miles of track and 500 trams in daily service. Would that be of interest to you? I'll definitely look into that. That's fascinating. Thoughts on the sea trains from One Piece? Not watched or read One Piece, but I know it's wild. Hello. What was your first video? Greetings from Argentina. It was the Montparnasse derailment, and I'm very tempted at some point to do I think I've said before, I want to do a remastering of some of my videos. Like, some of my older videos where I, narrated too quickly and the music was too loud and I barely gave any information. I want to remaster some of those videos, but I also don't want to be, like, cheap, if you know what I mean. I don't want to just like re-upload the same content. Like, on the one hand, yeah, I want to redo that video George Lucas style and make it better and do the subject justice, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to just retread old ground. That's my feeling towards it. If you guys want me to redo those videos and like make them actually good, I will. But I can't promise I will do it because it feels kind of cheap. You know what I mean? It feels dishonest. Can you make the background something funny? Sure. Send me a picture of your face and I'll put it right up. Well, hey, get some ice on that burn. Nah, it's fine. If you want me to change the background, I will, but otherwise I'm just going to leave it here because this is a Q&A and I don't want to stress out my computer too much. Fred from the Discord here. Random question. Is it just me or a Flying Scotsman whistle either always out of tune or something atrocious? Random question. Did Scotsman ever have two whistles? I don't know if Scotsman ever had two whistles. I think they just change the whistle out sometimes. I don't know why. Boko question mark? I'll have you know it's a Kobo wheel arrangement. My birthday is tomorrow. Well done. Happy birthday. What was the most recent heritage railway you went to? I think the last time I went to a heritage railway, it was the Welsh Highland Railway in 2023 while I was, there in Porthmadog on holiday. It's been a while since I've been to a heritage railway. But tell a lie. No. No, wait, I might have... Let me check the camera on my phone. Make the background Shaquille O'Neal. He needs to come back. Hold on, let me go. Hold on, D-Man. I need... Let me just save this picture real quick. Shaq. Let me find a good picture of Shaq. There we go. So let me and what's this picture I've got? Untitled PNG. Oh, it's the Train of Thought Hatsune Miku picture. That's nice. Skylar has sent a picture of their face for me to use. Which... let's put that over. Let's put that over the wheel. That can go. That can just cover the wheel. Just there. There we go. And then let's get add a new asset, image. Okay, quick access, Shaq. Here we go. And there's your picture of Shaq, D-Man. There's your picture of Shaq. He can. Oh, that's not what I meant to move. He can go up there. There we go. The background should at least not be a still image. Let me find a Shaq GIF. Actually, no, I think I do have a Shaq GIF already saved. There we go. There we go. Now we've got the Shaq GIF. Is that better? Let's get Francis Bourgeois. Let's get a GIF of Francis Bourgeois. Let's just really muck up this whole thing. Just completely ruin my stream. More tools, type GIF. There we go. This is a dumb GIF. You enjoying this, chat? Is this what you wanted from this Q&A stream? Is this exactly what the kind of content you came here for? There we go. We'll put that there as well. So now we got Francis Bourgeois, and we've got Shaq. There, we satisfied? Is this enough GIF for you? Can we get a picture of the Shack from the 1973 in here? No, we've got enough. Okay, people are asking me to look at stream highlights now. So we've got Formula One racer clapping. We've got use this sunny picture of Daniel Ricciardo too, please. There's a guy who's like really mad. There's like a really mad looking guy here. I don't know what's going on with that. Oh no, now I'm looking at the chat, people are just posting memes. People are asking so much of me. They're asking me to put the Thomas shocked face over the wheel. I'll put this picture in. I'll put this picture in because it's got a train. It's got train carriages in the background. That's... No, I can't. That's not saving as a PNG or any file I can use. Never mind. What about this one? Gonna save this. Oh god, people are just atting me now. Add the GIF of the entire B movie, and get copyrighted by DreamWorks. I'm not doing full movie GIFs. We're having 3 pictures on here max. Let me... There. There, we happy? Are we happy, chat? This is what you've turned my stream into. The background, this is just turning into a fridge, and you're all giving me stickers and magnets to put on it. Ugh. Okay, let's actually keep answering questions, shall we? Thoughts on Action Chugger? Don't know what that is. Heritage Railway. I think a bigger history on Japanese locos would be interesting because I saw some interesting locos there and three bogie diesel. I'll look into that. Sure. Favorite Russian Civil War armored trains? Don't know that much about Russian Civil War armored trains. Same artist I commissioned for another railway theme piece. When it's complete, how about I DM it to you? I don't have any DM it to you at this point. Yeah, feel free to send it. I want to see it. I love seeing art. Favorite unsuccessful class of diesel engine? Class 17s. Can't go wrong. Would you do SCP stories for Ghost Train of Thought? I don't know how to feel about doing SCP stories because they're not really Ghost Train stories. There's a creepiness to them, don't get me wrong, but it's like... I don't know. There are other people that do SCP stuff. I want the stories I do to be like Ghost Train related. I've heard of stories of ghost trains with signalmen haunting the station in Ireland, somewhere in the old Cork-Waterford line. Yeah, send me the stories. I heard of the railway in Brazil. It's a pretty creepy story where more than 30,000 people died while it was being built. That's crazy. Can you give me free Ligma? No. $80 if you want some Ligma. Life starts getting depressing when you feel the nose hairs starting to grow inside you. Oh, grow up. Nose hairs is just a part of being alive. Just trim them with a pair of scissors, you'll be okay. Action Chugger video when? I don't know what Action Chugger is. Oh, the fruit bowl thing D-Man asked earlier. Basically, the context for the fruit question is there is fruit, and I want to know how you would rate putting it in the bowl. That doesn't clarify things! Hey, Todd, here's something that'll probably make you question me, but the movie Murder on the Orient Express was based on a real thing that happened. Huh. Cool. Will you make a video on Action Chugger? Tell me what it is, for the love of God! Death Railway in Thailand. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people died building railways in Russia and China. I'll look into that as well. Have you ever played the alcoholic train driver simulator known as the Trans-Siberian Railway Simulator? No, I'll look into that. You need to make a playlist for the locomotive / places / other stuff you've done. Sure. Ever heard about the NSB Type 49? They were the first European steam locomotives with a fully welded boiler, and the first European built 284s, I think. Had a lot of other innovative and experimental things. We'll look into that. Train-related creepypastas. Again, I like actual ghost stories. I could read some creepypastas, but it's never the same. I like the ghost stories because they're concise. Creepypastas, it's like telling you, like they tell you your life story. And like a bunch of other details, and it's just like, oh, just give me the ghost story, man. One-off steam trains you feel should have become a full class. Ooh. 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 Well, it's been a while since I've done a video about a one-off class of steam engine. I definitely would have loved to have seen those Great Western, the 101s. I'd love to have seen a full class of them. I think those would have been really cute to see. For what's in the comment? If you could drive one train now, what would it be? Right now, I would love to drive a little tank engine. Because I know I could do that. Possibly a shunting tank engine. What's your opinion on the guy on the server who's making an American equivalent of the island of Solar its engines? I don't know about that, but all speed. Good luck. Can we expect a video on Brecon Mountain Railway locos? I'll look into that. What's your favourite band? I mean, Queen is such an obvious one. Like, there's rarely any bad Queen songs. Fleetwood Mac, they're great. Again, I more like to listen to songs on their own. I don't rarely follow bands. I'm very much not up to date with modern music. Like, I couldn't tell you a thing about modern music. But I love Queen. You can't go wrong with Queen. You said earlier if you had a Let's Play channel you need an editor. If that's the case, then what would your rates be? I don't know. I've never had to hire an editor before, and I don't know how to pay them based on the kind of content I'm making. I like a level of creative control over the videos I put out. So I don't know, I feel like I'd lose a bit of myself if I did a gaming channel. Already said that. You ever consider running on the Chinese steam locomotives such as the QJs, JSs and SYs? Again, video suggestions and I'll look into them. Can these Q&A streams not have the same blank logo wheel throughout the entire hour when it's just could the colours alternate from blue to... Look, I'd be playing web fishing right now because that's usually what I play on a Q&A stream, but in case you weren't here in the beginning, my PC doesn't seem to be agreeing with games right now. Curse Train compilation where is only clips of you reacting to all the turntable pictures. God damn it. Do a video on the Lionel Girls Train. I know it's some model trains, but the Girls Train was a monumentally epic fail, and I believe it's worth discussing on par with the Edsel and New Coke. If you can find sufficient links to sufficient information, it's all well and good people saying, oh, do a video on this. But then I look into it, and there's only ever first-hand recounts of it. Like, it's only discussions on web forums. There's never, like, any articles or anything written about these things. And so it's very hard to get solid and grounded information. What is the wildest how the heck did that happen train moment you've discovered during your research? I definitely think it is the theft of Cleckheaton Station. I love that video. It is one of my favourite videos I've ever done because I found the subject so fascinating, and I did so much digging through old newspapers to piece the story together. And nobody watched that video, but I love it because a guy stole an entire railway station. How does that happen? You know, I love it. I love it, and it's a shame no one watched it. What's your opinion on the proposed Grand Tour remake with Francis Bourgeois and 2 other guys? I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't know if Francis Bourgeois is the right call for it. He seems to know a lot about his engines and engineering. But I don't know... I'd rather someone created a new show that was doing its own thing. Rather than recast the Grand Tour Make a new car show. Like, we don't need to... You can't improve upon perfection. Hammond, Clarkson and May was a rare trifecta that I don't think we're ever going to see ever again. It is rare you ever get 3 presenters that work so well with each other. Like, usually presenters come in pairs. Like, they come in a duo. It's rare that you ever get 3 that have such good chemistry. They are very much lightning in a bottle. So rather than trying to force that formula by saying, oh, what if we took these people? What if we took these people? What if we took these people? I think you just gotta let it come naturally. I think you gotta get the right people in the right place at the right time. Get a drink. My throat is getting a little parched from doing all of this speaking into a microphone. God, and it's so hot. Why the hell is it so hot? I hate this heat. I think part of the reason why my PC does crash, I think it might have to do with the heat. Because it always seemed to be on warmer days when it crashes. But at the same time, that might just be the weather. It's doing it now, and it just so happens to be hot outside. Oh boy. Okay. Add a gif of the entire B movie. No. Can we get a skookum? No. Do you believe Alfred Perlman scrapped every... I've not looked into Alfred Perlman, sorry. Can I offer some help with the German Steam video? I know quite a bit regarding various classes of 210Os to be at least get you started. I'll look to you if I need help. I had no idea you still had my fan art on your computer. Thoughts on being drawn as a girl with blue hair and pronouns. Pronouns! Pronouns! God, I hate those people. I really hate those people. Not people with pronouns, the people who complain about them. Let me just clarify there. You'd be hard-pressed to find a human being who does not have pronouns. Although, did you ever see that meme? It was, my pronouns are... And it's just blank. It's just blank. My pronouns are... I do not have pronouns. Do not refer to me. I mean, being drawn as Hatsune... Well... I don't see that as me as Hatsune Miku. I see that as Hatsune Miku with a me paint job. And I find that adorable. That it was quite nice that you drew like the Hatsune Miku with like the train of thought colours. Gonna be blunt, I've got no interest in Hatsune Miku. Don't give a shit. But I still think that was a very nice piece of art. And as I was saying earlier about the fan art, I greatly appreciate... I love when people make fan art. Either of me or of other stuff. I love fan art. Because that is someone expressing their joy and enthusiasm for something. Like... I love when people make art. I think that's a pretty broad statement, I guess, but, you know, that's just how I feel. My last question. What Stream Train whistle would you have on your car? Ooh. Probably one of those Great Western two-tone ones. Those are nice. Can you make a video about the beep? You're gonna have to clarify what the beep is. Opinion on the... I personally think that it's a little bit... And that's my opinion on it. What's your favourite narrow gauge loco? So many good narrow gauge locomotives to choose from. And it's crazy how big narrow gauge engines... Like, 3-foot railways? Do you know how big some of the engines can get on there? Like, narrow gauge is just smaller than standard, but that doesn't mean the locomotives are small. Good God, no. I do love the Festiniog Railway tender tanks. Prince, Welsh Pony, all them. I love them. Opinions on using landmines and other explosive ordnance against household pests. I'd start with a can of hairspray and a cigarette lighter and work your way up. Would you rather have a model train of the big boy made by Athean or have a Cada? That's... You're talking about modelling, that's all going straight over my head. There is someone atting me in video suggestions. Okay, you don't need to at me in video suggestions, I'll see it in my own time. Would you like an oil painting of you? Of, like, me, Train of Thought the human being, or me, Train of Thought the YouTube entity? I'll take either. Possible video on the new build steam locomotives in general. Chorus Falcon, Tornado, In Progress P2, etc. I might do a video on new builds, but generally speaking, the fun comes from the history of the class for me. The fun comes from, you know, why they were designed and built in the first place, and like what they got up to. And as interesting as new builds are, I much prefer learning about like what they got up to, more so than... I'd rather talk about the original Gresley P2s than the new build P2. Because the originals have a history. There's more to them than just, this is an extinct class of locomotive, we're going to build one. Would you rather have a model train of a big boy? Same question. Hey ToT, would you like us to type "We will rock you" in chat? Please don't. Do you watch Laurie's Mechanical Marvels? Occasionally, not my go-to content. What are your thoughts on rebuilding extinct engines, but not exactly to the original design? As much as I can groan and grumble, I get why we can't build them to the original specifications. I know, like, Flying Scotsman's had to have, like, certain parts changed and its whistle moved so it doesn't, you know, collide with overhead power lines. Tornado's the same. And I don't mind the subtle changes, because at its core, it's still that class of engine. Boy, my PC is getting real hot now. 74 degrees on the CPU. What is going on here? Like, my GPU's at 24% and ticking over at 30. Yeah, it's rocking. My GPU's at like 30 to 40%, and that's on like 53 degrees. What is my CPU doing? What background processes are going on right now? Like Google Chrome, but like that's it. Everything else is tiny. What is... Boy, my computer sure does love heating up. I know it's my graphics card that is probably the issue in my PC, so I'll see if I can check the VRAM. I'll probably, after the stream's over and I've eaten, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll take apart my PC and I'll have a look at the graphics card in it, make sure that's clean. Oh, it's cooling down now. No, it's not. Oh, let me point. Oh, give me a second. Let me point my great big tower fan at my PC. This ought to. There we go. This ought to help. No, somehow that's making it hotter. Oh, look, just give me a sec, chat. I'm working on it. There we go. What is my computer doing? What background process is it running? Or is just Google Chrome that intensive because I'm streaming? There we go. Now it's... No, back to 75. That's 76. What are you doing? I mean, it doesn't help that it's like 28 degrees outside. You can probably hear the fan now, so let's just keep going with the questions. Have you heard of Rolling Line? It's a model railway game. I've got Rolling Line. I did a stream in VR where I threw things about. It was great. ToT, would you like raw blood pudding? No. Is ToT a Top Gear / Grand Tour fan? I think... Me and my friends discussed this the other day. I think Top Gear kind of lost a lot of its charm when they were doing less challenges involving like old bangers, and they were just driving through places in like brand new cars. Like there was a charm to like the old challenges where like they had an old banger and they had to get it from A to B, and like the challenge of it was, did you buy the right car? Did you do the job correctly? Is your car in good condition? Can you keep it going? And like... I feel like when they were doing challenges that involved getting brand new cars and like, driving through Australia or, doing this, that and the other, it kind of lost a lot of its charm. I'm putting my fan on my desk, by the way, in case it suddenly gets a lot louder. Let me turn it up as well. Oh boy, I sure do love background noise. I genuinely don't know what my computer is doing. Like, what are you processing? I know it's hot in my room right now, but genuinely, why are you running this warm? Should I take the side off of my case? I'm tempted to just... Hold on. Hold on, chat. I'm just going to take the side off of my PC case, just so it can get some fresh air to it. I put the side back on to stop dust. Like, hopefully... Right. Hopefully that should let it breathe a bit better. Okay, the temperature is steadily dropping now. And it's steadily going back up again. What are you doing? Genuinely, what are you doing? I don't know. We'll continue with the questions. Oh dear. I've got Task Manager open and I'm looking at it. Like, Google Chrome is like using so much CPU right now. Why? It's because I'm streaming, that's why. I can't wait for winter to come and it be freezing cold in my room so I can actually run a fucking game. Good grief. Okay, what else has chat got to say? I'll probably call it there once I've done this string of questions, just because I've been going for a while and I want to address some of the technical difficulties with my PC. Favorite railway gun from history? I don't like war. Like, as interesting as I find like the First and Second World Wars, I don't really focus on guns and things. That's not my forte. What do you think about branch lines being redone with light rail vehicles, like the proposed Kemble to Kernster branch thing? I think light rail vehicles like trams and such, they're a good shout on branch lines. How many tabs are open? 1! The live stream tab. Clear your Google search history, I guess. I guess I'm gonna have to. Oh, it's finally cooling down. No, never mind. Every time I look away and I say that, it drops and then it goes straight back up again. Could you do a video about the last train into North Korea, about an engine driver who escaped North Korea on the day the war started? It's in video suggestions. I'll look into that. What's your best ghost train story? The Blood Pit, aka the Hoosick Tunnel. What is your least favourite locomotive? The Flying Scotsman. Dumbest example of incompetence when it comes to train crews and maintenance crews that you found? Oh. Definitely the Quince Hill rail disaster, because that was the fault of the signalmen. Literally because one of the signalmen wanted like an extra 30 minutes in bed, hundreds of people died. Can you do a video about the Great Glasgow South Western Railway 400 class? Again, video suggestions and I'll look into it. If there was a train version of Top Gear / Grand Tour, who do you think would be best to fit as presenters? I know James May. He's very much a railhead. I'd love to see him aboard. I don't know who else. Francis Bourgeois came to mind, but I don't know how much of like Francis Bourgeois would be good for that kind of thing, and how much of it is just, oh, he blew up on TikTok, got a couple of brand deals, and no one. I've not heard anything of Francis Bourgeois. Is it just me? Because I don't use TikTok. But like 2-3 years ago, he was inescapable. Like over lockdown, you couldn't get away from the guy. Like, because he was all over the news and TikTok and this, that, and the other. And he got a couple of brand deals and he got a TV show on Channel 4. And I've just never seen him since. I don't know what he's doing now. Is the Thomas the Tank Engine Bulstrode versus train cars accident based on an IRL accident? Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. Hey ToT, can you add a picture of a duck gif and you can't say no to it?
No.
You come to my house and demand what I do? I have every right to banish you. Do you find a kitchen gun a useful cleaning apparatus for cleaning your kitchen? I like the spray bottles, those are handy. The Beep was a Baldwin diesel that was rebuilt into a one-of-a-kind and nicknamed the Beep. I'll look into that. If you had a fursona, what creature? Probably a bear. Could Springtrap come back after being hit by a Union Pacific freight train? He always comes back. This guy was burnt down at least 5 times. What's your opinion on taking clapped out engine and restoring it to be as amazing as it could be, not as accurate to what it was? I think I like the accuracy. If it's a one-of-a-kind engine, I'd prefer the accuracy, but at the same time, I understand, like, we might as well see what it can do. Like, I know they're modifying Tornado all the time so it can keep up with modern railway demands. Need to have a leaf blower blowing air on your PC case. I probably do. Would you rather live in a house where someone was murdered or in a house with carpet in the bathroom and kitchen? Murder. Just because someone was murdered in there. If anything, knowing someone was murdered in the house, that would bring the value of the property down. I could buy the house much cheaper. Now I understand why Scooby-Doo villains were always doing, like, goofy stuff like saying a place was haunted. It knocks down the price of places so much. I'd definitely live in the murder house. I'm guessing that, like, the carpet in the kitchen and bathroom is, like, there forever. Like, even if I own the house, I can't pull that up. Would you support a new build E2 that rectified the original E2's issues? The original issues with the you can't... I don't think you could build an E2 and rectify the issues that the E2s had and it still be an E2. Because the problems with the E2 was they were built for, like... They just didn't have good fuel storage. They weren't balanced properly. They were just a poorly designed locomotive. If you're going to build a new engine, build one that was only slightly wrong, not completely wrong. Have you recently checked your PC's cooling system is working? Thermal paste, CPU cooler, dust build up. I dusted it like a month or 2 ago. But I will have to check if the thermal paste is still there. And, like, make sure that that's doing its job properly. But again, it seems to be more GPU issues I'm having as opposed to CPU. The CPU is fine. It runs a bit warm, but, like, other than that, it's fine. You could own a railway, which one would you own? Modern railway. Southern Rail. Hey ToT, would you like a Rocky Mountain Oysters? No. Steam-powered PC when? Hey, get in contact with Linus Tech Tips. We'll make it happen. Download more RAM? No. Have you tried submerging your computer in milk? This is known to prevent several issues from persisting. Yeah, because it'll brick it. You can't have computer problems if you can't turn it on. What do you think about those emergency vehicle buffs who depend on someone's emergency or misfortune to film responding vehicles. I mean, as long as you're not hurting people so that an ambulance is called, then I'm fine with it. Just hang around a hospital and film them there. Where is trains? Who is trains? Why is trains? What is trains? We are all trains. The trains were the friends we made along the way. What about a video about the Sentinel steam locomotives? Will come one day. Why is the idea of a really overgrown and rusty engine running under its own power pulling itself out of the shrubbery such an appealing idea, however unrealistic? I love overgrown machinery. I love overgrown structures and architecture. I love it. I love seeing something that looks so rusty and battered still moving. I don't care how unrealistic it is. I need to see a rust-covered steam locomotive working. Something more heritage railways should do is not clean steam locomotives, or at least have one engine that they can dirty down. Because I genuinely want to see like a late 50s, early 60s BR engine covered in filth like they were in actual BR days. Don't get me wrong, I understand why we keep them clean, because of water damage to the boiler and the paint, you know, and keeping it clean makes it a lot more presentable, etc. But I just want to see them filthy. I want to see them disgusting. I want to put my hand on the side of the engine, pull it away, and my hand is black. I want it to be filthy. Example of experimental trains that could have become effective, successful, given more time to work on, but they won't be given up on. I definitely think a lot of bullied engines were. I definitely think the Duke of Gloucester, that like, and the Class 8s. Will you try pointing your fan at the open case of the computer for cooling it as a real fast quick test? I'm doing that right now, and it's helping a tiny bit, not much. How did you have it? How did you have it where you have this Q&A ask here? Yes. If you had a railroad coach, would you turn it into a restaurant? I'd turn it into a house. But if I could, I'd have a dining car. I'd have like a little cafe and a railway carriage. Example of barn finds, but with trains instead of cars. That has happened. I can't remember what it was, but it was a little shunting tank engine that like an old man was overhauling. And they found it after he died, and they brought it to a railway, and they put it back to work, and it's so nice. Linus Tech Tips prove that you can cool a PC with a fire engine pump. Yeah, no wonder you can cool an engine with a PC with a fire engine's pump. It's got an insane amount of water pressure. Will you ever do a video on the Great Western Cathedral class? If I can find enough information on them, sure. Favourite Deltarune character? Tenor. Maybe that's recency bias, but I just love Tenor. Like, mild spoilers, I just love the way, like, his sprite is done, and I love the little animations his sprite does. He's such a goof. He's such a goober. Favourite song from Undertale /Deltarune? Chapter 4, Song 68, The Guardian Fight. Peak. And that's the final question. I'm going to end the Q&A. If anyone has any more quick questions, very quick questions, well, you've got 5 minutes. I'm giving you 5 minutes. Ugliest theme / train classes, not counting liveries. Cab forward engines. Specifically cab forward steam engines. Ugly as hell. What railway museums have you visited so far? The museum at the Severn Valley Railway, National Railway Museum, and the one at Towyn. What do you think of... What do you think of the... Too dyslexic to read that. Are you aware of the cursed object? No. Can you drink some water? Yeah. Ah. Toss of the river, what is your wisdom? Drink plenty of water. Get plenty of sleep. And just don't take the piss. If you build an 060 plus 6 steam rail motor, you think it would make excellent work for mixed traffic? No, because the rail motors, you need a small boiler in them. You need a small boiler and a small set of driving wheels, so you can make plenty of space for the passengers. You make that too big, you don't have space for passengers. So rail motors are not built for mixed traffic. They're designed to do one thing and one thing only. Bruh, I didn't finish my question, lol. Too bad. Tallest thing you've ever been on? A plane. Ugliest steam train classes... Ugliest steam train classes ignoring. Probably a lot of late American engines with 8 to 10 driving wheels. ToT, have you tried turning your computer off and on again? Ha ha ha. Are you happy? Nope. Damn autocorrect. Oh, budgerigars are tiny parrots. Oh, what do you think of budgerigars? It took me a second to understand that name. They're cute. I love them. I'd love a budgerigar. When unstoppable? It's coming! Eventually! That's a laugh. I can't sleep in this heat. Neither can I! Can you do a video of the art of builder's photography? I think it'll be very interesting. Maybe one day. Wackier steam train concepts that weren't built. Definitely, like some of the Baldwin quadruplexes. Like, just some comically massive engines. That Nazi railway that was meant to be like 9 feet wide. That's crazy. Very late, will you do a video about the Western Clevedon and Portshade Railway? A very silly railway. Finished question. Maybe. The cursed object is in stream memes. I will look at stream memes right now. Or is it stream highlights? It's probably best you put it in stream highlights so I can see it there. Can I go eat and get some sleep? Go right ahead. I'll be following right behind you. As American who likes late steam, screw you, they're gorgeous. Lol. Do you think the Milwaukee Road could have beaten Mallard's record? Probably. Train of thought. Shut down to cool your damn PC. Look, I've got my bedroom door shut, so that's stopping air from circulating around my room. My room is toasty warm right now, so I'm going to, once my stream is over, open my door and just turn off the stream and just let it get some coolant. You mind listening to Casey Jones later on by Grateful Dead? Because, sure, maybe, I don't know. The cursed object, that's horrible. No, can you go eat and sleep? End stream. I will. Can we soon get a Discord documentary stream soon. I'll do you one better. I'll do a movie in the Discord. Maybe one day, perhaps. Who knows? I don't know. I'm dumb. That's the end of the questions. Right, my PC is... My processor is at 75 degrees Celsius. Graphics card is dropped down to 47, so I don't know what is going on between the two of them, but it seems my graphics card... I don't know how my graphics card is cooler than my processor, if it's graphics card issues I'm having, but hey, who knows, who cares. Let's just play this. Ah, jeez, this is rough. Listens to Roll On Big Boy by Nebraska 66, I believe. Okay. Holy, till next stream, getting a big bag of frozen peas. Ooh, I could go for some frozen peas right now. When are you going to talk about the 422 Baldwin bicycle tank? I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to talk about anything. My process for selecting video objects is completely arbitrary. The fact that I have any kind of consistency at all is a miracle. Why do people watch my channel? Genuinely, I do not understand. But you know what? I'm glad people do. Because otherwise I'd have to work, and I don't want to do that. Jeez. Okay, do the subscribe thing, subscribe to the channel. Good God, my PC is way too hot for this. I'm gonna go grab a bag of ice and try and cool my PC down, good grief. Ugh. Hold on. Let me try cool you down, chat. Here, have some fan. You feeling cool yet? Is this cooling you down? Are you feeling cool now? There you go. Have fun.